This is the heart of the Forest of Dean, which has always been one of Britain's great forests. Areas like this are increasingly popular for recreation, but it's also one of the most valuable habitats for some of our rare and most seldom seen wildlife. In this series, I'm visiting some of Britain's most outstanding areas of natural beauty to really find out what's going on beneath the surface.
There it is.
This week, I'm in the Forest of Dean, where I'm hoping to see creatures that until recently were extinct in this area. The elusive goshawk, the magnificent wild boar, and one of my favourite animals, the hazel dormouse. The Forest of Dean is situated in western Gloucestershire, between the Severn estuary and the gorges of the River Wye. It's one of Britain's few remaining ancient forests. 27,000 magnificent acres of beech, sweet chestnut and 300-year-old oaks tower above young saplings, shrubs and flowers that decorate the forest floor, providing food and shelter for the creatures that live here. First, I want to track down one of the forest's most important inhabitants. Deer are actually the reason why the forest exists today. In the 11th century, it was protected as a royal hunting reserve, where kings could hunt wild boar, red deer, roe deer, and fallow deer. Today, the forest hides 400 fallow deer. But if you look carefully, there are signs all around which can lead you to these wary creatures.
That's the track of a fallow deer. In the old days, when people were trying to establish how big an animal was, particularly fallow deer, it was gauged by the size of its track. And you can judge the width by how many fingers. 3 fingers long, so not a really big one. It's probably a young animal. I can't tell from just the one track whether it's male or female. Fallow deer are very alert. If they see you or they hear you, they don't necessarily run off. But if they smell you, the chances are you won't even know that they were there. You can see which way the wind's going. I've got some talcum powder here. The wind's coming straight up at us. That's ideal. It means our scent is going that way. There's a deer trail here going across the side of the hill. We're going to follow that. Our scent is always going to go uphill now. Our attention is going to be forwards and to the left. You can see here a couch where a deer has been lying, and here and here. It's a very faint sign. There are some hares as well.
It's midday and the deer are likely to be bedded down somewhere, chewing the cud. I'm going to wait until later in the day to continue my search. Spring is a wonderful time of year when the forest is simply bursting with life. By summer, the trees will be in full leaf, casting the forest floor in shade. But for these few weeks in spring, the floor-dwelling plants take advantage of the available light to flower and create this incredible display.
It begins with the whites, the wood anemone, the wood sorrel, the wood bittercress, and then you get the yellow flowers like lesser celandine. They explode like fireworks on the forest floor, all in preparation for the grand finale, the bluebells.
By mid-spring, the woodland floor is covered in a stunning carpet of blue. Bees are busy pollinating the flowers until early June, when the bluebells finish their life cycle and disappear until next year. The diversity of trees and plants in an ancient forest such as this is not only beautiful, but also provides food for a variety of animals.
We're looking for the cases of hazelnuts, and a whole range of different animals, particularly rodents, feed on them, and the way their teeth work leaves different evidence that can help us to find what we're looking for. You can see here, for example, this one here has been broken open by a squirrel. A squirrel will break a nut open from the ends, particularly adults can really get their teeth around and just break the nut in half. Whereas this one has a really neat hole in it, the sort of thing a dormouse leaves.
During winter, when food is scarce, dormice have to hibernate in order to survive. They sleep in hollow tree trunks, in nests woven from available plant materials.
This is interesting. This is honeysuckle. One of the things to look out for is signs that the honeysuckle bark has been stripped. Now, it does peel naturally, but that actually looks to me like it may have been pulled off. Why that's significant is that dormice line their nests with honeysuckle bark.
Sadly, the loss of habitat caused by the construction of new roads and poor woodland management means that the common dormouse is not so common anymore. In an effort to protect them, the Forestry Commission has set up a nest box scheme. Their only female wildlife ranger, Sid Davis, has agreed to inspect them while I'm here.
So that's the next nest box, is it?
Yes. Yes, we have a mouse.
Look at that. Aren't they beautiful?
He's still sleeping, but he's breathing quite heavily.
They are so cute.
During hibernation, the dormouse's temperature drops to match its surroundings, and its heart rate falls by 90% to conserve energy.
He's actually waking up now. Normally it would take them, when they've been into hibernation, about 20 minutes to wake up, but because the temperature is quite warm, he's ready to run about.
He's beautiful. When we worked in the fields and in the hedges, people used to keep them as pets, didn't they?
They did, yes. These days, people don't come across them quite as frequently as they would have done years ago. This is why we put boxes up to try and monitor how many there are in the woodlands.
And what do we know? How are they doing?
In this part of the world, in this woodland, they're doing really well.
That's great news.
Thanks to these efforts, the dormouse is thriving despite having to compete with far larger animals. The small shrubs that provide food and shelter for the dormouse are also a favourite food of the fallow deer. Just as I thought, as we head towards evening, the deer have started to emerge from the denser woodland to graze in this plantation on the edge of the forest.
It's just a small group of bucks there. It's lovely to see. But I can see them because they're moving their tail. The fallow deer has the longest tail of any British wild deer species, and it's a dead giveaway. You see that tail flick, even hundreds of metres away, you can tell straight off what species it is. But despite that, their camouflage is remarkable. In fact, if you don't know they're there, you can look at a fallow deer and it's almost like you can see through them. Their coat, their pelage is just so perfectly toned. I often think that bucks at this time of year, once they've lost their antlers, they kind of retire for a little while. They're not at their best, and they go away to repair themselves and get ready for the coming year. They've got this particular way that they look at you. They see what you are. They're not fooled. They're very intelligent, I think. If they smell you, they just vanish. They just filter into the woods like mercury.
While I'm here, I'm also hoping to see wild boar. and goshawks, and prepare a tasty meal from what the forest has to offer.